I mean, if you guys give this a good score from what I'm experiencing with I'm excited. I will say that I'll get a bottle of it on my bar after I hear what you guys had to say, because I'm trusting your balance.
What's up, guys?
Hey guys, it is Scotch for Dummies.
4 guys on the Scotch journey to help you with your next Scotch purchase.
We're going up north.
We're going all the way up north.
Maybe one of these guys. I mean, if you can understand how many they have, it's only like 1,000.
We're going to try hard not to bash the confusion that is in lies with Highland Park, but
under a subcategory on their website, you can find
specialty
Twisted Tattoo.
16-year-old Highland Park, 46.7 ABV. It's not on their current lineup, in other words, their core, but it's considered one of their specialty releases right now. We paid $105 for this bottle. Been out since 2019, I believe, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we were, starting off kind of lightheartedly saying that, Highland Park is just really confused right now when you look at their lineup of whiskey.
Well, they're not confused. We're confused.
How can they not? I mean, how can you not be confused? Go to their website and just look. It's all
massive.
over the place. And trying to understand what's what. They kind of renamed some of their age statements with names, which doesn't help.
I think actually this is the first age statement in their specialty whiskey. And then it goes up to like 17, the dark and light, and then 50 is crazy. So there's a lot of NAS in the specialty.
True.
So we should do a Highland Park for Dummies.
That's a good idea.
Boy,
Let's start with this one and we'll see how far we go.
Volume 1, Volume 2.
Well,
anyway,
what makes this bottle different, and I'm excited about trying it, is the finish on it. It's ex-bourbon casks, and then they finish it in, and you're going to take
Rioja wine casks.
Rioja.
So Rioja is a wine region in Spain, like north central Spain. It's landlocked, fairly dry region. Tempranillo grapes are the predominant grape, but there's a few other kinds that they use. But it's a bold red wine. I really enjoy Rioja wines. Like I'll seek them out at the store. They're generally fairly. If you like red wine, it's a great one to pick up, and they're usually fairly inexpensive to purchase, but there's a lot of flavor.
Okay.
Yeah, generally. I mean, at least in America, nobody knows what they are. They're like, give me a cab. But this is, to me, it's very fruit forward wine, and it packs a lot of flavor. So I'm anxious to see what it does to the Scotch. And this is just finished in the barrels, right?
Yeah,
it's not a maturation.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me because it is a pretty bold flavor. So I think that they're just going to have to let it sit briefly.
Right.
Otherwise, they could probably overdo it on the Scotch.
Just going to say, overpower it. Okay.
But it'll be interesting to see if it's in there.
It smells great.
Or if it's like, well, we finished it in there, and you're like, I don't taste anything.
Right. Sure you did.
They got nervous and dumped it out, right?
All right, so what's the ABV on this?
46.7. 46.7.
All right, so
Well, I do get a little bit of fruit on the nose.
it seems real light.
It does.
I get alcohol.
But it's there.
Grape on the
You get
nose.
the alcohol.
I'm trying,
Yeah,
guys.
that's what it is. I think it's like a fresh grape. Like almost a green grape, quite honestly.
Yeah,
that's what I
that's
smell.
what I'm getting on the nose. Maybe with it, I don't know. A little sugary grape, almost like grape flavoring on the nose too, almost.
Huh. Yeah.
You get any wine in there?
On the finish, I got some of the tannic, like little bit of dark chocolate and a little bit of bitter that I would associate with it. Like really drinking a glass of red wine, and as it finishes, you get that like tannic quality, that wine finish.
Almost a pop rock finish too.
It's-
a little glistening.
It's interesting how sweet it is up front, and then the finish is not that.
It's more bitter chocolate, dark chocolate.
Yeah,
and
it rolls
finish.
back into that wine on the end.
It's almost sickly sweet on that initial palate.
You think?
So it's bourbon barrel and the Rioja.
Right.
And that sounds right. It sounds like you get that bourbon barrel with sweet bourbon finish
So-
initial palate.
Since I really don't have a sense of taste and smell, it's probably 25%. I can speak to the to the sensation and the mouthfeel a little bit more. I honestly think it's pretty approachable at 46.7. I don't. It
No.
And I didn't start. I didn't even have a warm up today. So right, this is the first, that my palate's getting hit with some alcohol, and it was still acceptable. It was approachable. It didn't knock me out. I will say it's got a very interesting waxy finish. So there's an oily waxiness to the finish that's drying. It's cloying. It's kind of crazy that I've got this waxy feeling on the inside, but it's still dry. It's almost
Yep.
not as I've had some that are really really dry. It's not overdone, but it's interesting that it's kind of a dichotomy of the waxy oiliness to the cloyiness that I'm getting. But I can taste a little bit of sweet. I could smell a little bit of sweetness in there, but that's really about all I can taste and smell. So I mean, that's about all I got to give, guys. I mean, I can't even give it a number. That's I'm done. I'm out.
It actually reminds me a little bit of the Boone 18.
I'm starting to appreciate this more as I sit here with it. I think the initial was a little bit just sweet and kind of blew through, but when I was able to put it in my mouth and kind of just roll it around for a little bit, you get a nice maltiness in there. It really is. It tastes like a classic whiskey that has a little bit of that peat on it, just a little bit, just to add body and depth to it. And then now,
Wow.
I'll admit that I can't intentionally pick up the wine finish. I'm not picking that up, but I don't really know what to look for in that. So I think it's well done. Is it $100 well done? I don't know. Give me a little more time with it.
We were talking about that off camera before we hit the old record button. So I mean, trying to put this in a price point for value. Typical 15s that we've seen out there on the market are going anywhere between $80 to $100.
Typically.
So this is a 16. I would say somewhere between 90 and 110, and it came in at 100, 105. So I don't feel like it's overpriced.
Maybe just a hair.
Maybe on the
not much,
high
yeah.
end of pricing, but not over, right?
For a 16-year-old, I mean, because you can get the Lagavulin 16 goes for about the same price.
Well, depends. Sometimes you can get that bad boy on sale, and in Hawaii you can get it for $55. But at our local, it's $124.99.
That's right. I'm actually getting close to be right. I'm gonna one more sip, and I'm really enjoying this glass actually.
So, since I can't really give it a score or give you guys notes, one of the things that I really appreciate Highland Park's new make, right? Their subtle peatiness and the type of peat, that heathery note that you get in, you get a little bit of that brininess because they're so far up north in the Orkney. I just have been very confused and dissuaded by them over the past year and a half, 2 years with what they're doing. So I really don't have any new Highland Parks on my bar. But I mean, if you guys give this a good score from what I'm experiencing with my mouth, I'm excited. I will say that I'll get a bottle of it on my bar after I hear what you guys have to say, because I'm
enough.
trusting
Fair
your
enough.
palates.
Well, I'll
Shoes
start
on the
off.
other
So the last Highland, we've had some Highland Parks that are great. The 18 is the one that really sticks out to me as a home run for us.
Absolutely.
Right? We've had the Light in the Dark, we've had the Valkyrie, the Valnut, I think is the other one we had. This one actually is up there with the 18 right now for me. I
Wow.
really appreciate this. At first, when I first had it, it was kind of light on the nose, more of that grape or grape even flavoring. But that was all I had the nose, nothing much to it. But the palate neat was still pretty great. I felt like it was a little disjointed. You mentioned it was a little too much sweet, but it did roll nicely to that dark chocolate bitterness. Mm-hmm. And then I had kind of like I don't know, I call it pop rock, where it kind of makes this kind of, I don't know, it kind of feels weird and makes your mouth go all tingly. But when I put water on it, man, it really smoothed it all out perfectly for me and blended it. I got more chocolate on the nose now with that. It's not nearly as pungent sweet. It's more of a rolling sweet. It really blended nicely. I've got more dark chocolate now than I had before, and the bitterness is not as bitter. So I really appreciated water, and I actually put a decent amount of water on that too. So I'm loving this glass. I equate it to a Boone 18 so far. And for the price range, it may be a tad on the high side, but I think it's pretty much a level set. So I'm going to go, do I go 3.5 on this one? I'm going to go 3.5 on this one. I really think this is a
I
valid.
thought he was coming in at 3.
I was, but
what I
I
thought, too.
appreciate what it is. It's a 16-year-old age statement, decently priced, and it packs some decent flavor.
Eeny, meeny, miny, go.
All right.
I'm challenging him on this one because he's right there with me. I know it. He's close.
I had I I didn't talk very much on this review.
No, you didn't.
I've been really thinking about this glass quite a bit. Initial nose, I'm with you guys. I mean, it had a little bit of grape. It was sweet. I didn't really get any kind of smoke or anything like that on there, and I really didn't get much like that I would call a red wine on the nose. Palate, initial first sip, sweet up front, rolled back into like a classic wine finish, red wine finish. I would equate it to. Couple sips in, and it started to get a little more complex for me. It developed some vanillas and some custards on the front. So the sweet side started to get more complex. And then the back side, I started to get some dark chocolate and some interesting things going on with that red wine finish. And so they're still kind of like it rolled back from one to the other. With water, I was a little nervous because it's 47%.
Right. So
if you drop a little bit of water on it, maybe you're going to lose a lot of what it had. But it really didn't lose much character at all. It kept a lot of the same things going on. I didn't really notice even really a drop in like, oh, I'm missing that one thing now. I mean, it kind of kept things going. Yeah, it was really pretty nice. It was actually kind of unexpected, and it developed in my mind a level of complexity that I really kind of didn't expect. I started to get a little bit more of the, I don't usually get like the peat smoke on Highland Park because they use so little of it, and this actually built up, especially with the water. It started to come out. It let me access that. So it was a little bit more deep and complex than I initially thought. I'm going to go 3 on it. It's still lacking a little bit of depth and character that I would say would push it higher, but a pretty good glass, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. I agree with Drew that it got much better with water for me. Up front, it didn't work. It bounced back and forth and didn't flow well. But when you added the water, the palate got so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the nose just disappeared for me, and that's what's killing for me. I do not have any enjoyment as I nose this glass right now. It's just a little bit.
It is a little flat on the nose.
Fair point.
The palate is good. I think you roll into the chocolate. I agree with what you are saying about kind of how that works. I'm not going to repeat all that. I'm not as impressed as you are. I'm between a 2 and a 2.5 on this because the nose is nothing, but the palate really is the saving grace. So I'm going to go with a 2.5 on this because it is. I'm not even thinking about the price right now. Just sipping this glass and letting it finish and letting it roll through, I can sit with this and don't have to keep sipping it to have the flavor. It has enough of that finish that draws it out, and it does kind of change and bounce around on that finish kind of nicely. So this is better than
excellent points. Excellent points.
Again, that's part of the problem with us opening these and doing a quick review. This bottle needs a little time.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So I think
It could sit on my bar
with
for
the
a while.
2.5, we're
Not
good
in
with
your
that.
bar.
So we're
No, I think you're absolutely right. I know that I'm giving it a higher rating, but I'm really enjoying this. So my palate love is
Right.
also enjoying this versus you guys.
That's how that
which is
works.
what it works, right?
Right.
It's how it's supposed to
Yeah.
be. But I think it's a great bottle. So
But we can also do the math on that.
We're
That's
3-0
I
amazing.
just did the math on
There
that.
we go.
3.
at the 3.0.
So Highland Park, 16-year-old twisted tattoo.
Wow, I'm
Interesting.
good bottle.
turned out better than I thought.
Definitely viable.
Actually, and this is probably one you can find at a local.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think this one's going to be too hard to find right now, even though it is a special release.
Yep.
So,
All right, guys,
Try, guys.
thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.